Hello, everybody. April 1st, 2021. Overcast, rainy, chilly here in the DC area, but happy April Fool's Day, whatever that's really supposed to mean. So, I want to back up a little bit and talk about March. You know, they always say March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb, and that's just because the weather comes in with the wintry, and then it usually leaves a lot lighter, the flowers blooming, more sunshine, etc. But I myself, many people I know, client-wise, friend-based, etc., March came in like a lion and roared the entire month. So for me, as you know, I started a mini detox, adding herbs and tinctures, changed up my food intake from middle of February to the middle of March when it peaked out and I started getting detox feelings. And right when I thought I hit the peak and started to feel a little bit better, I got hit with the news that I needed to move. And so then I peaked back up, not only with the detox as well as energy shifting universally and collectively and in my brick and mortar home and this avatar. And yeah, I got hit with that. So that brought up a lot of core issues for me. Where am I going to go? What can I afford? My foundation, etc., etc., etc. And so it took me off and on a couple days to get over the overwhelmedness of looking around my house going, oh my God, how am I going to pack all that up? Etc. Where am I going to put all this? Etc. So then I took a long walk. And in my walk, Yeshua said, get rid of all your stuff. And I said, what? And then I was shown this little vision of over 2,000 years ago of people traveling and walking from town to town with their stuff like in a little cloth bag over their shoulder with a stick. And if they had money, they had a donkey. And I said, but times have changed since then. And his response was, the principles are still the same. So I came back home, I looked around at my things, and I said, okay, Grandma, I don't think that you would be angry with me if I had to let this go. I had to say it to a few antiques. Maybe it's time for someone else to enjoy them. And I didn't just say it, I felt it. I felt the detachment to all my belongings, literally detached. Like, let them go to someone else. Let me sell what I can sell. Let me carve a path every day that I get a little something done without being overwhelmed, without hurting myself carrying things from the basement upstairs and etc., which is just winding. It's like, you know. I took some boxes to North Carolina this weekend and visited some friends and visited some beautiful Native American property. Did a little energy work. Met someone else who invited me to down to do the same thing. So March was starting to still roar, but it was a roar that I could turn down a little bit. So it didn't seem so incredibly crazy. And also during the peak times, my neighbor she's in her doctorate program and she has to practice giving clinical testing. So she asked, could I practice on you? And I said, sure, come on over. So she set up at my table and she literally put like a book like this, like right in front so that I couldn't look over, and put her papers out here and then put a book here. So I'm thinking, okay, no problem. So she begins to tell me the instructions and says, you know, I can repeat sometimes and sometimes I'll tell you that I cannot repeat it. Like, whatever, I'm just here to help. So the first part of the test was putting these blocks together to make it look like the picture. And the first two I did okay, and the rest of it reminded me very clearly that my dysgraphia is alive and well. So if you don't know what dysgraphia is, it is where you can see something, but when it goes into here, bounces around in there and comes out here, paintbrush or drawing, you can't get it the same. Just never gonna, it's just difficult. So in other words, I'm not an artist, okay? So anyway, the next set of tests were, she was gonna name two things and you needed to say what they had in common, what was alike about them. So she said a 2 and a 7. And I'm just sitting there going, 2 and a 7, a 2 and a 7. Well, if it's a standard 2, you could take this out. They both look like a 7. I don't know. And she goes, the answer would be they're both numbers. I went, yes, of course. So then she went on to the other questions and I was able to answer those well. And then we went into numbers and alphabets. So she would say 1, 5, 9, B, Q, R, T. And you'd have to put them in order. So you'd start out with 2 and then 4 and then 6. And actually I surprised myself. I didn't do too badly. And the reason why is because in the beginning when I saw my dysgraphia was alive and well, I started going to that little place of, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. Oh my gosh, what is this person who has this high educational degree gonna think of you? She's gonna think you're a real dumbass. But instead I flipped it. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna take this test. The outcome is irrelevant. And there's no time to have any more pity parties because you've already had your detox, your energy shifting, you have to move, and now you're having your IQ tested. So I thought, no, we're not gonna go there. So what I did when she got into all the letters and the numbers is I just sat back and I looked down and I tuned my ears in. And so that I could hear the first 3 numbers, but I was more in tune with the last 3 or 4. So then I could jumble them around. And when I got things wrong, I just said I didn't remember. So when we did words, there was a word I said I have absolutely no clue, but when we were done, I wanted to look it up to see what it was. But then at the end, it was, who is Martin Luther King Jr.? Who is Cleopatra? And something, and of course I answered all of them, but I'm thinking to myself, if you asked a certain age group those questions, they may not know who some of these people are because they were all very, 50 years ago. So anyway, the bottom line is I did not let that get to me. And even the next day, I kind of had answers to some of the questions. And I went, well, okay, just had a little delayed response. It's not going to change your grade, and what your grade was doesn't matter. And she didn't think anything of it because I don't think she has the answers right there anyway. It was about her practicing discernment, detachment, and giving clear instructions to a patient. So I guess I was a patient for a moment. So anyway, coming out of March, it's April 1st, I'm back home, and I just have to get things done. One box at a time, one closet at a time. And I kind of wish someone would just offer me a chunk of money and then just come in here and take everything because it would make my life a lot easier. But there are certain things that I can't give up, like family photos and my drums, my rattles, a lot of my healing things. But I did box those up. My essential oils are gonna take like 3 boxes. Oh my God. So, yeah. And I have this philosophy too, as soon as you give something away, you figure out what you could have used it for. Then I gotta let go of that too. So I gotta keep it spiritual simple, but I gotta keep it simple, the KISS method in anything that I do, because that is what is a lot of what's testing right now. So March was a whole month of purge, purge, purging. And in purging, you've gotta let it all out. You just gotta let it out. And so April will continue with some of that, okay? And for those of you who did not get in a lot of that in March, you may get it a little harder here in April. But all it is allowing you to make room for new. Okay? So you can't keep cramming things in your drawers and in your closets and stuffing them full where you can't figure out what's on the lower levels and what's in the back. It doesn't work like that. Life is asking us to clean it all out. What isn't used on a daily basis honestly needs to go. And going to the store instead of buying one, buying two to stock up, depends on what that is. If it's a toothpaste that you use regularly and it's a twofer, then get it. But really, we're all waking up to, we just have too much stuff. Now, for me, I have no idea where I'm going. I know that the DC area, I'm done with it. I'm over it. I've been here all my life. Where I will go, I do not know. But Spirit has made it very clear that it will all unfold for me, and I just need to trust that. And yeah, and that's just exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to trust it. And I'm going to trust that I may have to take some Motrin throughout this move for aches and pains, and it's hard when you're a little bit older and you're single. And I'm just going to trust that I'll get all my electronics fixed up so I can do podcasts, that I can find somebody that's really super good with social media that can actually sit next to me and walk me through some things. So this is really all about throwing it all to the wind and not letting it blow back right in your face. It's letting it go, saying goodbye, saying thank you, and just blessing everything, just everything. So, yeah, that lion is still a-roaring. We got some portals and things opening up this weekend with Easter, and of course, it's meaning to some people, and yeah, so I hope that each and every one of you are doing okay. I know a lot of my clients I have heard and friends have been like they just want to exit off this planet, and I get that, because when you open up those spiritual doors and you make a real truthful decision that you're going to walk through them, you're not going to allow the door to get closed again. And that means it takes due diligence and action. And with each breath, you can circulate, move through, and get a step further into it. But it takes work. It truly does. And it doesn't have to be heavy. It just doesn't. Remember this, a little something a couple times a day. You know, that drop, sit, breathe. Maybe listen to quiet meditation. Maybe go back and look at some of the healing meditations I've done. Energy work, I'll do some more. I'm being called to do that. It's just really the month of March. I just couldn't put out a lot of videos because I had a lot of things rattling around up there, but just no calling to take it from out here to you all. So, yeah, you're not alone. You've got this. Unscatter a little bit every day. Literally, just purge, merge, organize, dust, just do a little something every day, and do it with your body as well, because your bodies are changing, energy bodies, layers, they're all changing in needs of wanting to be lighter. So the backpack can be emptied out. You don't have to carry that load anymore by yourself. And tribes are going to start meeting, and it's going to be pretty freaking cool. So I'm looking forward to it, because I've been on this ride for many decades by myself. And yeah, so much light and love to each and every one of you. Please like, subscribe, share, leave me a nice message, and see you on the next video.